Hey, it's Erin. When you're looking at changing your proportions, decreasing your waist circumference will make the rest of your physique look even more impressive. Now, we're not talking about creating the illusion of a smaller waist, which would include building out your shoulders, your upper chest, and your upper back. That, of course, helps, and we do have several videos on this channel that will help you build an impressive upper body. In this video, we're talking about actually decreasing your waist circumference. Now, of course, waist circumference is going to depend on your genetics, how you're built, how big your rib cage is, how long your torso is, how wide your hips are, etc. Of course, body fat percentage comes into play. But a lot of times when we're training abs, we're thinking about that superficial layer of abs or the rectus abdominis. This is that six pack. So if you were to do sort of an air crunch, you'll feel the rectus abdominis. But let's dive deeper. Underneath the rectus abdominis is your transverse abdominis. So your rectus abdominis, on the surface, those muscles run north and south. The transverse abdominis acts as an internal corset, and those muscles are horizontal. They're actually the only muscles in the abdomen that run horizontally. The transverse abdominis helps to stabilize your core. This can make daily activities much easier, and it can make your lifts much stronger. And if you experience any kind of back pain whatsoever, strengthening your TVA can help immensely towards preventing that back pain or reducing it. Since a lot of us don't focus on training the TVA directly, it's not necessarily that strong. And by strengthening the TVA, you can actually reduce your waist circumference by 1 inch or up to 3 inches, depending on how strong your TVA was before and how much you're able to work on it. Now, the exercises that we're going through in this video, a lot of them are isometric exercises, which means you're just holding for a period of time. To make progress on these exercises, you'll just work up in seconds. So on the vacuum, for example, if you can only hold it for 10 seconds, work up to 11 or 12 seconds next week, maybe 13 or 14 seconds the week after, and then you can start adding sets to it. So always working on progression, but this video is specifically targeting that deep muscle, that transverse abdominis or that internal corset. We're gonna tighten that baby up and we are gonna snatch that waist. So without further ado, let's train. Our first exercise is a kneeling vacuum. The key points to think about here is a slight round in your lower back. You want to think about blowing out all of your air and then pulling your belly button towards your spine. You can round your upper back just a little bit. And you also want to think about starting out with 1 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 seconds. So again, breathe out all of your air, round that lower back, and pull that belly button towards the spine. If this is a little bit difficult, you can try on your back first, and of course doing this first thing in the morning is super helpful. Now during this time you're going to be holding your breath, but there are variations of the vacuum where you're breathing very shallow in your upper rib cage. So that you can hold for up to a minute. For this, you go up to 20 seconds, and then you can work up to 4 to 6 rounds, 2 to 3 times per week. Next, we're moving on to ab walkouts. Very important to keep the feet straight. You want to keep the back flat, and you can even think about rounding that upper back just a little bit to give you some ab recruitment. Now, you can keep your weight on the entire hand or just the tips of your fingers, depending on how flexible you are. Walk it out until you're almost in an X-plank position, and you want to think about walking it back in the entire time, keeping your core tight. Now we're looking for 15 to 20 reps here. This again is an excellent exercise for really recruiting that TVA in a more active way. It's a lot harder than it looks. And when you walk it back, you want to walk back till you reach your toes. And then again, nice, slow, even steps with those hands. And then hold it for just a second when you reach that full extension, and then bring it back. Now you want to breathe throughout this exercise, but again, you want to make sure those legs are flat or those legs are straight. Next, we're moving on to a hollow core plank. Now this is just like your traditional plank, except you want to think about bringing your hips up just a little bit and really engaging the upper part of your abs. So you're almost doing an isometric crunch here. You're going to simultaneously hit the TVA, you're going to hit the serratus, you're going to hit those abs, the six pack or rectus abdominis. So once you get into this position, you want to think about holding it for about 30 to 45 seconds. And again, just work on building up that time as you get stronger. For this exercise, of course, you're going to breathe normally, but you want to maintain that strong contraction. Next, we're moving on to a side plank with an abductor leg lift. This, of course, is going to hit that TVA, but we're hitting a little bit of obliques here, and then we're also hitting the abductor, which can build a little bit of muscle on top of the glutes and make the waist look smaller. So here we're looking for 15 to 20 reps on each side. You want to make sure that your feet, your knees, your hips, and your shoulders are in a straight line. And of course, as you switch sides, you want to make sure that you're performing the exercise the same way from right to left. Now, this upper arm, it should be perpendicular to the floor. Really important. You don't want it too close. You don't want it too far away. This is going to give you a strong foundation and a lot more stability. Moving on to our hollow body holds. Now for this, you're going to lay flat on your back. You want to think about tilting that pelvis forward just a little bit. This is going to help with keeping your back flat on the floor. So that's the main idea for this exercise, is you do not want to see any space between any part of your hips, your back, your lower back. Everything should be touching. So it's going to give you a bit of a convex look. So you're going to be kind of like a C shape. And you want to raise your legs to a comfortable position, or one that you can maintain. Keep your arms extended and hold it for 30 to 45 seconds. Really, really important that you actively press that lower back into the floor. This is going to help really engage those abs. Adding in exercises that work the TVA 2 to 3 times per week will help you see really great results in just a few weeks. Now for that vacuum, it can be particularly tough to perform it while sitting up. So a good rule of thumb would be to start first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, lie flat on your back with your feet on the ground and your knees up. So you're gonna just pull your heels to your glutes and let gravity help you engage that TVA. With a little bit of practice, you'll get the hang of it and you'll be a pro in no time. If you try these exercises and you love them, please tag me on social media. Also, before you get started on this routine, make sure that you're keeping track of your measurements. So measure your natural waist at rest and then measure it again in a couple of weeks and then maybe again in a couple of weeks after that and see how you're progressing. And I look forward to seeing and hearing about your results. That's it for this time. Until next time, train smart and train hard, y'all.